It's 5:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Recording of members and guests present, please sign in as Ms. Van Meter's. How to do that? Any introductions needed? Everyone knows the board members, everyone that's here. Review of operating norms, is that?
Operating norms. Focus on agenda topics, be open-minded, respect each other, value different viewpoints, be responsible and responsive to our community, referencing the strategic plan, make decisions based on data and facts, listen to each other, be reflective, run meetings that respect time, have concise agendas, and are transparent.
Thank you, Catherine. We have 10 minutes for public comment in the beginning of the meeting, and there's also time for public comment at the end of the meeting. Any public comment? Bob?
Well, I'm Bob Sherman. In case anybody doesn't know me, I've been president in Pawlet for over 50 years. And I want to take this time to support the library trustees, particularly the four that made the decision to let Lindsay go six months ago now. The decision was made in an executive session, which means their decision can't be public information. And they've had legal advice, also having had quite a few questions about why they let her go. And they haven't been able to tell us why. So for me, having been here for a long time and knowing basically the trustees, these four, they made a unanimous decision. It wasn't 3-1 or 2 to whatever. And because of that, I am putting my trust and backing to the board for the decision to let Lindsay go. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Just one correction. There was an executive session and discussion. The decision was made in open session.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to have been.
Yeah.
So you explained why you did it?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No. Okay.
We made the decision, both decisions,
Okay.
no confidence vote and vote to dismiss. But that was public session.
Okay.
Other public comment?
I have a question. Was every library board member in attendance at that meeting?
Four library board members were in attendance.
Out of
5.
5? And who was missing?
Everyone.
Other questions? I'm sorry, other comments?
I have one. I just wanted to make an amendment to the minutes or a correction to the minutes. It said that I said that you don't have a right to speak as public people, and that's not true. What I said was you have the right to speak as public, but you have to differentiate yourselves from, a private citizen. So you have to differentiate yourself from private citizen and the board member. So Joni, for example, you would say, Joni Lee, as a member of the public, I'm a homeschool mom. I've used this library for 12 years, and I love the programming for children. I'd like to see more programming for children. That you have to differentiate yourself. But basically, you both said something like, I, private citizen, think that I, board member, did the right thing. And that's not a good use of public comment, especially since there was so much. There were a lot of public comment, people who wanted to speak who were cut off. And so the board took public comment time to speak as board members and talk about board actions. You can do that on your agenda, as it can be a warrant, like a discussion on the agenda, and you're free to talk and have a discussion and say the exact comments that you made, but those aren't as members of the public. And I just wanted to clarify that, because all of us want you to have sort of a robust and healthy discussion in these meetings so that we can see how everybody feels about all of the matters that you're discussing. So anyway, just wanted to clarify.
There was a question in the meeting prior to the April meeting. How do you feel, like asking the board, how do they feel about?
Right, but as a board member,
in response to that.
Right, but as board, you responded as board members, not as members of the public. And the fact that you guys can't tell the difference, that's part of the problem with a lot of these issues, is that you have to conduct yourselves differently, right? And I think with board training, that you might get some guidance on that, but it's different. Member of the public versus the elected board member, right? You have kind of different things going on with that.
Thank you for your comment. Sue?
Yep. Following up on the library board meeting on April 9th, at which time it was acknowledged by the chair, Harley Cudney, that $3,500 in legal fees was paid from library funds and approximately $4,400 in legal fees incurred by the town attorney. It's time for I just wanted to say that the library bylaws require any expenditure over $1,000 needs to be discussed in public meeting before being paid. Harley stated twice in previous meetings to that one that library funds would not be used to pay legal fees. And also back to what Joni and Grace were saying, that they would not have changed a thing with regard to their decision to fire Lindsay. Now on the agenda tonight, we have a section about about changing and adjusting and fine-tuning the book sales, the rare book sales, and having more accountability about rare book sales. Well, if you had thought about that before firing Lindsay, maybe you wouldn't have fired her, because you're changing things now that you said you would never have changed.
Thank you for your comment. Other comments? Yes,
I'd like to comment about the rare book sales, but should I wait till we talk about the book sale?
This is public comment. If you have a public about a comment about the rare book sale, it's a good time.
Okay, I feel that the board needs to consider exactly how much you're gaining by selling the rare books. And if you feel it's profitable, I think it's a good idea to go forward. However, I think more accountability is needed. I looked into it, and books, which I believe was used, is a very good source, but also Amazon, and also you can even sell books to North Shire Bookstore. However, as I said, I feel more accountability needs to be done. A-Books requires an account and a minimum of $25 a month to set up this account. Could be 25 or more. I don't know, is this something the board has done and taken responsibility for? If they're going to continue to do this in the future, I think it needs to come from the board. You need to set up an account, and accountability has to be made as to what books are sold and for how much.
Thank you, Joanne. Other questions? Comments, rather. Comments. It's public comment. Marty?
Yes. I am also a resident of the town of Pawlet for a number of years. I also served on the library board for about 3 or 4 years, and prior to that I was on another library board, and I have to say that the method by which you took the action to dismiss the director, to me, is inexplicable. And I have no confidence in the 4 members who voted to do this. You have concealed every aspect of your actions. You've hidden behind executive sessions. You tell us that the attorneys tell you not to talk. And to this day, the library director that you fired has not been told why she was fired. So, in contrast to someone who spoke previously, I have no confidence in the 4 members who took this action. And I would go so far as to say, Harley, that given the economic costs that your actions have cost the library and the town, and the bad name, and everything else that goes with it, all 4 of you really should consider stepping down, because I have no confidence in you, and I don't think I'm alone in that.
Here, here.
And if you would like, in case you didn't get it before, I sent a letter to the select board, which you probably are aware of, and I will read it.
We don't have time for that, but I do have the letter.
I think you can find the time.
Need 10 minutes of public comment now.
I think you can find the time.
If you want to read the letter at the next public comment period, you're welcome to. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Or censorship. This is Stalinesque. The way you're running these meetings is completely out of character, out of order. No, you are. You are out of order, not me.
I am running the meeting. I am the chair running the meeting, yes. You are out of order. Please be quiet until the next public comment
I agree
period.
with him entirely.
You are out of order.
I know I am, and I don't care, because you obviously don't care. You don't care about the library, you don't care about the town and its reputation.
You can excuse yourself if you cannot be quiet.
I will do my best to keep my mouth.
Approval of minutes from the April 9th regular meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I would like to say something. I neglected to include the wording that was used to move into executive session for attorney-client privilege and to invite the library's attorney. So I would like to include that and approve it with that amended wording.
Did that happen?
Yes.
Or did you vote on it?
To go into executive session?
Yeah, and note the time?
7:40.
And when did it go out?
At 10:01, Harley left. At 10:25, Joni motioned to leave executive session. Catherine seconds, all agree. No decisions were made. At 10:26, I motioned to adjourn. Catherine seconds, meeting adjourned.
There's also a spelling error.
I know, I'm sorry.
Oh, with a name.
I know, I'm sorry. It's hard to read these sign-ins.
Do you correct it now or not?
Which name is jumping out at you?
It's Henry Witt. You have Wilt, I think. It's Witt, W-I-T-T.
Could you move the speakers closer, Grace? I couldn't hear.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure it's recording, but I'm not sure it broadcasts. Does it make a noise? Will? No, it doesn't. But
Well, it's good because I do watch these, painful as they are. Sorry. Because I really do try to be very accurate. And I'm sorry for anyone whose name I spelled wrong.
Can we get a change that I didn't say you don't have a right to speak as members of the public? I didn't say that. That's in the minutes. like being represented.
I watched the PEG TV.
During public comment, she didn't want you speaking in public, as the public, during public comment.
No, it was,
Right?
they spoke as the board during public comment, and I
specifically said that I was speaking as a public member.
Right,
and
but
I
you
think
talked
that
about
that's fair.
board decisions and board deliberations, and that was, you didn't differentiate yourself as a...
I'm not going to take that out of the minutes.
Okay, well then please record my objection in these minutes.
Okay.
Because I was not represented correctly, and that's...
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other changes to the minutes among the board members? No? I think there were other names
I know, that's
misspelled,
my
but that one I
bad.
didn't know how to spell it.
It's hard to transcribe from a sign-in sheet.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes with the changes that have been made.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Addition or deletion of agenda items and agenda approval. Anyone want to add or delete an agenda item?
I just want to give an update about the two things that I said I would follow up on from our last meeting, about the window washing and about the back stairway.
Okay, I'll add that to old business.
Sure. Or I can just talk about it at old business. I thought so.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so moved.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's nice.
Secretary's report, anything to report? Treasurer's report.
Yes, I have the balance in the library checking account at Berkshire Bank is at $62,567.90, and I have the end of the first quarter fund balances. The reserve fund is at $45,821.14, and the growth fund is at $25,685.89.
What was the second number? First number was Berkshire, 62,000, etc. And the second number was?
$45,821.14. That was the reserve fund.
Thank you. Anything else from the treasurer's report?
No, there are, everything is, income and expenses are within line.
So our budget that we're following for this year is?
We have one more month to go. Well, a month and a half.
Okay, and we're doing okay on the budget?
It looks like we are over in expenses, but most of that is due to increased programming.
Thank you.
Question from the audience?
No, not for the treasurer's report. There's no decision being made.
I have a
There are
question.
questions on it.
Lauren, you had added, you wanted to discuss the payment to Kupfer and
Transparency.
Blake for legal services.
I did, and I think it all is kind of, it relates to the transparency issue. I feel like that payment should have been something that should have been discussed as a board. And on the board, on my board, my experience before, you and I we exchanged emails about this, and I I think we had a difference of opinion about the select board. I actually spoke with Julie, and she does present the warrant monthly to the select board for their...
Yes.
Right, so in every board with a budget, and this is, you know, we're a public entity, you're presented with the monthly expenses, and everybody gets to look at it, and then if you have a question, you can ask it, and then it's approved, and then the treasurer pays the bills. Or in this case, they go to Julie and she pays the bills. And that didn't happen, so that's a good thing to have for accountability. Like, for you to pay the $3,500 for the legal fee without discussion is very troubling to me. And it doesn't make any sense. So I guess that's what got my attention, but then I thought about the process. And I know that we exchanged some emails also, so I don't remember if it was among all of us. That's obviously public domain then. But I can't find, I spoke with somebody from the Vermont Library Department in Middlebury, and I've tried to find any kind of adage about it or protocol, and I can't find it, but it is what everyone seems to do except us. So I don't know why wouldn't we do it? Why wouldn't we do it that way? And I know that it's been done a certain way for a long time, but that doesn't necessarily make it right, especially now when I think things are so sensitive about transparency and accountability, and we shouldn't have anything to hide, so it shouldn't be a problem. I don't understand why we wouldn't do that to try to make it better. And I'm not just talking to you, Harley, because all of us have the exact same power on this board. I know that Harley is our conduit for communicating with our library director, and you run the meetings, thank you, it's a lot of work, but all 5 of us have equal power and say in it. And I just think that, obviously, I'm new to the board, there's a lot of history here, but that is extremely concerning. If I were to, like, you know, if I was in charge, and I don't even know how it would happen, if I had and that wasn't money that was budgeted. That was not money. $3,500 wasn't budgeted, and we were told that it wouldn't be paid for out of the library, and then it was. Am I wrong, Catherine?
I think I'm going to let Harley address what was discussed about how it was going to be paid. I agree with you that it would be very helpful for the whole board to see the warrant, but I can see a timing issue unless we called for a special meeting to go over the warrant. Because we have our meeting now.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the bills from Adele in another week or two.
Right.
And we don't have another meeting until the beginning of June.
So it's a timing issue, for sure.
There's a timing issue.
And we can, there's an answer to that timing issue, for sure.
Okay.
We could orchestrate it in a way that we're ahead of the bill so that you're not in behind or in the rears for us to discuss it at a meeting.
What's your suggestion, Lauren?
I guess you would have to, I mean, I can't, without looking at the actual dates of those bills being paid, I mean, do we have to have our meeting on the first Tuesday of the month? If our bills come in at a certain time of the month where it would be beneficial to have it the last Tuesday of the month, or another way that you would ahead of time have that, if we're just talking about paperwork and, you know, for us to see it, but we're all responsible for it, so we should all see it.
Would it help to send out the front page of the warrant to the board?
I suppose we could do it via email, but that, I mean, it should be also...
That's only informational, that's not a signature.
Right, no, of course, because it should be approved by the board first, and then you get your signatures. I mean, that was...
And the community.
But it is for the, we are representing the community. I mean, we really should do it at a meeting. It just would be, if we could streamline it so that it didn't put us in the rears or late for anything, which... Right on the spot, Grace, I can't think of it, but I'm sure that there's a solution to it. Because every other board does it. I mean, that's what...
Well, the select board has a meeting every 2 weeks.
That's true.
They do it on the evening
Yeah.
of
I'll
the day
ask-
before the bills are gonna be paid.
I mean, Kelly Waite was our treasurer when I was on the school board, and so I can ask her, I can ask somebody who's on the school board now, I can ask another library board. I'll try to find, I'll put that on my task for next month to try to come up with a model that everyone's going to.
I think that's a good point, but I also, like, there's no way I'm gonna do 2 regular meetings
I don't want 2
a month.
I don't want 2 months.
Like, I've done special meetings.
I would never suggest twice
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah, she wasn't suggesting.
That's not what I was suggesting. I was just suggesting that this
But no, it's a
monthly
good
meeting,
point.
that we would look at the warrant, which is pretty elementary, and we'd look at it over and agree to it, and then go forward.
And you already have a policy. You already have
I'm
a
going to
policy
address
that
you,
over
Lauren.
$1,000
Order.
Over $1,000 needs to be discussed in
Order.
every meeting. You already have that policy.
There is, I mean,
Question,
there is a bylaw that states that if it's over $1,000, it needs to be discussed, and it's supposed to go out for a bid. That's, we have to look at our bylaw, that's our bylaw.
yes, it is our bylaws,
Yeah.
and the board did engage legal counsel. And it wasn't clear what legal counsel was going to cost, nor was it clear who was going to pay for it.
You said that
If
the
I am
library was
quoted
not going to pay
as-
for it. Specifically, you said it would not come from
And that
library
was the
funds.
best information I had at that time. The response from the lawyer who was talking to Merrill Bent was, we aren't sure who is going to pay for this.
Maybe, but so we shouldn't probably hire the lawyer before we know how it's gonna be paid for.
We hired the lawyer.
No.
We had to hire the lawyer.
Here's the other thing, and this is about open meeting law and what we're doing here. Like, I think the reason that this is happening is because originally, I think that if there were, I don't want to divert too much off of our subject topic, so I'm just suggesting that the reason people are so suspicious and uncomfortable is because there's been a lot of secrecy, and I understand that we're advised that you can't talk about it, and a lot of it has been in executive session. But had there been protocol in place before, like had there been evaluations?
The word. If there had been what before?
A protocol, if you wanted to fire the librarian or the library director because you were unhappy with that person, there would be evaluations, you'd have a paper trail, you'd warn it, you'd have a meeting, people would come to that meeting and speak for and against like people do now after the fact. They're doing that now. I support what the board did. I don't support what the board did, not even knowing what it is. Like, they didn't get to share their opinions. And then you go into executive session.
That's not how personnel matters are addressed, actually.
Well, I would disagree with you. I would disagree with you. I think personnel issues are in executive session. I'm not suggesting you talk about,
Exactly.
I'm talking about evaluations and then, ahead of time. It's not a quick decision or at one time without people having any idea that there was even a problem.
The protocol is to have personnel
And
issues discussed.
If you wanted to hire a lawyer to protect yourself, which we're entitled to do, then that should be discussed also, how it's going to be paid for ahead of time.
So we did it all wrong.
I think.
How do we do it? How do we take care of it now?
No. I think the only way we can do it now, Catherine, is to put these things in place so that going forward, we're in a better position.
I do agree with you because the total bill was not clear. The total bill when we hired the lawyer, because he's representing us, he's meeting with Merrill Bent, he's meeting with the other lawyer, and the bill is not certain.
Did you,
It's
so as a
going to be
decision,
time and
so as
materials.
a board, then you made the decision to hire the lawyer?
Yes,
in an
in
open-
executive session.
You can't make a decision.
You can't do that. You can't do that. I really don't think you can do that.
We met with the lawyer, we discussed payment in executive session.
No,
We did
you
not fire
hired the
the
lawyer
lawyer.
before you were in executive you didn't, before you had the lawyer in executive session, you made a decision to hire the lawyer.
I made a decision to talk to a lawyer.
Right.
Outside
The
of any
lawyer
meeting.
then
That can't be, you
attended.
can't do that outside of a meeting because it's not a personal thing. We're a unified board. We're all responsible. You can't do that without discussion.
I had no legal advice. I needed legal advice.
But Harley, I understand what you're saying, but you can't do it that way. That was a mistake. You have to do it.
I talked to a lawyer. I did not hire a lawyer.
How did you get a bill?
Well,
How did you get a bill, Harley?
Then the lawyer attended executive session.
Okay, so you hired
And we
him.
discussed
So then you hired him.
how he was going to be
listen,
paid.
if this were to scratch the past, I want to talk about going forward.
Okay.
If something needs to happen again, we don't do those things on our own. We don't do them in executive session. We talk about those things openly when we have an issue, as much as we can without personnel and specific stuff. And then people will know, okay, we have to go into executive session to discuss this personnel issue that is too sensitive to talk in public. But they're still a part of it, and they can still voice their opinions in that process. They just can't have a decision in executive session. They can't come into that. But if that is to happen again, then you have to say these things publicly. Okay, we're in I don't even know, I can't even think of an example of this happening again, because I wouldn't want it to ever go down like it went down again. Like, I think if the next library director, whomever they are, that if there's an issue, there should be a constant evaluation, and then we should be talking about that with our public, because we're representing them. We're here to serve them, all of us.
Yes. So as far as making a decision to talk to a lawyer, I spoke to Merrill Bent. Is that something that the board should have been involved in?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
She called me and asked to speak to me.
If that's a separate issue, is that a board issue or a personal Harley issue?
It is not a personal Harley issue.
Then it should be brought to the board. You certainly shouldn't make any decision on your own about it.
Well, that's not the advice I got from Merrill Bent on the issue at all.
Harley, you
However,
hired David Hupfer and never thought about how it was going to get paid. You had library donations pay it, and you should have paid it from your own pocket.
Order, please. Order, please.
You should have paid it from your own pocket.
I don't have time for inaccuracies.
You should have paid it from your own pocket.
Executive session with the lawyer.
But how did you get a hold of it?
That's before any charges were incurred.
Wait a sec. Okay. We're not, do you want to go back through that and go through the timeline? Because let's not. Let's just think about going forward, how we're going to do it.
I do take your point. Yes.
Good. Thank you.
I don't think I need board approval to talk to the town lawyer, Merrill Bent.
You need approval to talk to anybody. You need board approval to make a decision to hire a lawyer or something like that.
Agreed.
And you need approval from the select board to talk to Merrill Bent.
Furthermore, I think I made a mistake. Although I didn't explicitly hire him, I believe I made a mistake.
Fair enough, and let's just put things in place so that everyone feels more comfortable with what we can do.
Which is why we're talking about policies and...
Yeah, we are, and we're gonna jump to policies too. And it can't be just Harley, it's not fair to Harley. We should probably choose 3 people.
Your mistake was firing Lindsay.
Order, please. This is not a meeting in the sense that people can just speak up at any time during the meeting.
Speak up.
We have director's report.
There's a comment section at the end, 15 minutes. Please hold your comments till the end, when it is time for you to speak again.
I will jump in when I feel it's appropriate.
Then you will be expelled from the meeting because you are out of order. We have asked you to please wait until the comment section at the end of the meeting.
No.
Sue?
And also for you, Sue, and Corey.
I have a question though that's relevant to this.
So what we're talking
The director's report.
Well, open meeting law, you're running the meeting as a chair, you run the meeting, but open meeting law could be held different ways. People, they're here for the people to give their comments and express their feelings and questions. And sometimes they do have it line by line. Sometimes they have it in the beginning and the end, which is what we're doing tonight. We should try to adhere to those if we can. But, this is a collaboration. This isn't just, it isn't.
But that's how
That's
the
one way.
meeting is set up.
That's one way to do it, and That's not how we are doing it
So are
with
you
random
doing it?
comments,
And I said, I asked
especially
people to try to adhere to
inaccuracies.
it. That they're, you know, people are passionate.
Sorry?
It's not- we can ask them to adhere to it. That's,
Which I think we're doing.
right.
So what's next?
The,
And I think that you are correct that we need to like revisit these procedures, but it's something we've been talking about and trying to do, and there's just been like a
Let's
lot going
volunteer.
on.
Policy, because we've been.
And I cannot stay here until 11 o'clock again.
Agreed, I can't either. So we can table policies. I think that we should probably divide into 3 of us if people are willing. I'm willing, and,
we're not talking about policies at this point.
okay?
But we will at some point, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Director's
Yeah.
report,
Okay.
everybody on the board has it.
Hello, everybody. April was a quiet month. It seems to be statistically that it's always a quiet month. So I had the circulation though. So our library usage for April was 461 people. Libby checkout was 67. Canopy 44, interlibrary loan we received 29, we sent out 27, and we had 5 new patrons sign up. So the circulation for April was 370 books, DVDs, checked out. As you can see, I went back, 2023 was 387, and just to do a statistic about it, compared to March. March was 572 total checkouts, so it seems like March is a busier month, so it's a possibility down the road to have more programs in March than in April. It's just all I'm thinking, and that's next year. So yoga is slowed down, especially chair yoga. We have 1, maybe 2 people. And then, that's I'm doing average is 1.75, where in mat is consistently about the same as 5 is the average that we have. Movie matinee, we had 3 kids and 2 adults. So I decided to just run kids movies from May until August for the summer season. We may be able to pull in more kids for that. So, and our next movie is May 18th. And then Knit Happens is 3.25 average per class that she runs every week. And then T-Read is 4. That we had this past in April. We had 4 people. I believe that's correct. And Bone Builders is 7.5 average, and that's still a fabulous class, and it fills up 3 times a week. Homeschoolers, they had 1 more, and we had 21 kids that day and 11 adults. It was big. They did a clothing exchange that day between them. So, and that's their last get together until the fall time. Story time, we average with 16 kids and 8 adults. The science club, we have 5 kids and 3 adults come apparently every week. I don't normally work Thursdays, but I filled in for Nina because she's on vacation, and I was quite surprised of what was going on Thursdays. It was kind of nice to see the difference from the other days that I work. Robin always draws a crowd. He had 4 people here on last Saturday. And the Standing Strong class is 7. That's a great class, and everybody shows up faithfully every week. And our English language stands at 3. So just the same.
What day is that? What day?
That's on Friday.
What time?
12:30 to, it's right for the lunchtime. It's just, I don't know.
That might be a hard time if people have jobs.
Well, I think more of, it could be ice.
Oh.
If they're illegal. And they do show up at libraries on occasion.
And I think they usually do have a lunch break.
Yeah, and they do have because, yeah.
So we have a couple that comes from Poultney, who works at the Green Mountain College there. They do at the brewery, and then one from the Larson's farm. So we've put the word out. Karen's great, but she doesn't know. She's just going to keep playing it by ear and see how it goes. And if it fizzles, it fizzles. So it's not a big deal. So we had the Democratic caucus come in, and there was 5 people that showed up for that. Molly's Craft was 10 kids and 5 adults. Very, very popular, yes. So she's doing her last craft class this Saturday. And I'm thinking maybe I can talk Nina into taking over. But Nina's going to be doing this, the summer reading program in August. AARP, we had 6 people. Poetry reading were 10, and that was on Sunday with Anita Pomerantz. And the Excel class was 3 adults showed up for that, and that was a very nice class. Our May events, we have this spring nature program with Elena Santos. We couldn't get huge commitment for people to sign up for the 6-week course, so I decided to break it down, and people can come to each individually for each themed. Like one week is clouds, another one is birds and migration. So that seems to be working out better because parents just can't commit their kids to that every week for whatever. It's busy. It's baseball started. Little League. Medicare, we had enrollment we had 8 people attend. And the energy conservation infrared camera, which followed right behind Medicare, I believe it was 7 people. I asked Frank Nelson, and he thought it was 7. I didn't attend since it was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was done here. I'm not sure. It's all right. Frank thought 7. And now this Saturday coming is Molly's last craft, so she'll be doing paper flower bouquets. Just a couple of things. Chair Yoga has changed their hours because of the bridge outage. So they're doing it now at 3:45 to 4:30, and for the month of May so far. It may extend. Jean today cleaned out the back stairs and the space near the ramp and around the air conditioning. He volunteered, and I said, you know, what can I do for doing all this? And he says, you feed me popcorn and cookies, we're good. So there's no charge or anything. And I did a search on the safe. I got rid of the printer. And on eBay, that type of safe runs from $100 to $350. I didn't know what you wanted to price point it at, so I didn't take it any further. There was about 8 or 10 of them on eBay. So
remind me what it's for. Is it for money?
Yeah, you wanted me to get rid of the safe? You talked about selling the safe? Or getting rid of it?
We're getting rid of the safe. Okay.
Yeah.
We bought a new safe.
Yeah. We bought a new safe, and we thought about selling this one. It's just you asked me to research it, so I did. So I went on eBay, and
gotcha.
I mean, it is a vintage, so there is some money there, but I don't know. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do. I can put it on Marketplace or on Front Porch Forum if you'd like.
What do people think about $225?
It's a good starting point.
Yeah, and come down to what if it doesn't sell?
Keep lowering the price
dicker.
until it sells.
175. Well, anyways, if somebody even interested in it, because you got to have 2 very muscular people to move the darn thing. And I just wanted everybody to know that the library is closed on Saturday, May 25th for the Memorial Weekend. It's on the website. And Nina's been on vacation, so we have not been able to post our Welcome May, but I gave everybody a copy. So as soon as she gets back on Thursday, we'll be sending it out to everybody through email. Any questions?
Any questions for Adele?
Just quiet week, month.
Rules of procedure. So for unfinished business, rules of procedure, I distributed this a number of days ago to all of you. I have 2 copies here if you wanted to look at it. This came from Vermont League of Cities and Towns. It's covers everything. And I also verified that this with a lawyer from Vermont League of Cities and Towns, no charge, who looked at our bylaws and said this doesn't conflict with that, this is a policy. So it's directly from their recommendations. There's a few spots where you decide whether or not, for example, the chair can make a motion or not, how to deal with meetings that get too boisterous. Did anyone have any comments about it? My thinking is, of course, to have all our policies posted on our website, including this, for people to look over and understand what the behavior expectations are in attending meetings, and also how things work. I would entertain a motion to approve.
I did. Did I read it? I would.
What was that? Yeah.
She asked if I had read it, and I had read it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Unfortunately, I had a copy and I have not read it thoroughly enough to feel comfortable voting one way or the other. I mean, we haven't made a motion yet, so I don't know if you want to make the motion and then discuss, or if you want to talk about it before we make a motion. It's pretty extensive, and I mean, this is one of a lot of policies that we're going to be revising and making, so I don't know what you want to...
I thought it was a great document. My hiccup in making a motion is, when we make the motion, does it include the document in its entirety, or do we then break it down by the pieces that we can amend?
It's the thing in its entirety.
Okay, so that's what my question was. I like the document in its entirety. I thought it was very comprehensive, but you had just mentioned that there are areas within the document that need to be voted, and I wasn't sure how that should be worded.
It comes from Vermont League of Cities and Towns, yes, with options.
Right. And
you select options for what works for you, because they're trying to serve a broad range, yes, of
so why don't we...
But when we make a motion, how does it, like, when we make the motion now?
No, we would go over the options, and then when we're all comfortable with it, then we'd make a motion.
I think that he gave
No,
us...
there's no options in it.
Oh,
you did the original document.
Got it.
He sent to us this.
Yes, I understand.
Read both,
That's what I mean.
compare them.
Some things don't apply to us.
That was my confusion.
And some things are, how do you usually run your meetings?
Right.
Yes. Thank you.
So who has looked at this?
So, is there a motion to approve?
I did, but I
would make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Is there discussion?
On organization number 1, it includes the requirement that we select a vice chair, which is not something that we've ever done before.
Correct. we will need to go through our bylaws. Right now, the bylaws are the controlling document, but it is my thought, for the reasons listed in here, that we would consider adding a vice chair. If in modifying the bylaws, we decide against a vice chair, we can modify the rules of procedure.
Well, I happen to think that a vice chair is a good idea, but I think that...
I do too.
It's not an officer listed in our bylaws right now.
Right, so we would have to make that change.
Other discussion among the board?
So is it legal to post this as the rules of procedure before we do that change?
Yes, it's a policy, but the bylaws would be controlling. We have not elected a vice chair. Other discussion among the board? We are considering a decision here, and there's an opportunity for input from the public in considering a decision.
Can the public...
Martha?
I have a question. Does this, what are you calling it, rules of procedure? Does it indicate a particular Robert Rules of Order to follow in running a meeting, or is it pretty specific so you don't need Robert Rules of Order?
It does not include a specific Robert Rules of Order, and there are a few flavors.
There are a few flavors.
Of Robert Rules of Order, thick.
So as a board, are you thinking you need to be more specific about how you're going to run meetings, and so that the audience would also know how you're running meetings, or do you feel that rules of procedure is adequate?
The rules of procedure doesn't replace Robert's Rules of Order. However, it does specify some of the elements that are found in Robert's Rules of Order.
So does that mean you would generally be following Robert's Rules of Orders in the way you run a meeting? Or?
Yes, but like I say, there's a few flavors, and this document helps narrow down some of the choices, so it becomes a pattern, a repeatable pattern.
Okay, thank you.
Corey?
Is this posted anywhere, or is it available to us? Because you asked for input from the public, but we have no idea what it says.
It is an opportunity to comment. It will be posted.
How can we comment on it if we haven't seen it?
I don't know.
Okay. So that's kind of like a false
Or would you highlight the key additions that are coming out in these procedures, so that those of us that haven't seen it at least would get a sense of what's new in this procedure?
We have no rules of procedure right now.
We haven't.
So if we want to limit comment, for example, to 2 minutes per person, like the select board does, the reason the select board is able to do that is because they have rules of procedure. So the reason that, and the select board every year adopts their rules of procedure, they post the rules of procedure in town hall, and it's my thought that we would be best served by having very clear rules of procedure.
Okay, so one of the things would be to limit comments in the rules of procedure if you adopt this.
Limit comments, there's a couple places where it's mentioned everyone has a chance to comment, but we can limit it to 2 minutes. And after someone has commented on a specific topic, they don't comment again until everyone else has had a chance to comment. That kind of thing. It will be posted on our website. Like all our policies, they can be modified.
Once you vote on it, it's going to be posted.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
So last meeting, I was hoping to attach as an addenda, like a draft rules of procedure, but we didn't really talk about it, so I didn't. So maybe can we, going forward, can I attach that to as an addenda to to the minutes of this meeting if we all agree that they seem appropriate, so that the public can see them, and if they so want, comment on them next meeting. Does anyone have a comment?
For adopting?
What does the rest of the board think?
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
It would give us a chance to have a more robust discussion. I would be in favor.
Sorry, go ahead.
Would this be the procedure for all the policies that we intend to review?
I don't think so. I think, but for people who come and spend a lot of time in these meetings, it seems fair to me that they get a chance to look at these, and then we'll probably get a lot of flack next meeting, but that's how these meetings have been going.
Because maybe people will just feel comfortable with more structure. I think that's a good idea.
Open information.
What do you think, Carly?
If I might,
Please.
This document addresses the organization of the board. It addresses the agendas, the way they're set up. It addresses meetings, the time, how to go about a special meeting, emergency meetings. It addresses motions and voting, which have to do with the board. It addresses public participation. It addresses order, and it addresses meeting minutes. It's nothing out of the ordinary for a policy.
I'd like to see it before you vote on it, because I am interested in meeting minutes and public, how it affects the public, for 2 out of those things.
There's going to be, I'm going to address the board about this because it's coming up. There's going to be a lot of policies reviewed, some with impact, some which, wow, that's common sense, why didn't you have that as a policy before? And reviewing our existing policies as well. What is our process? If everything has public comment, it will make the process very long. Approve it, one approach. Yep. Approve it is one approach. Post it, and then definitely post it on the website so there's clear expectations. And then if there's like, what were you thinking, and the public objects to the rules of procedure, then we can react to that and probably modify it.
That's still like, I think it would be better if we looked at the strategic plan that is really comprehensive and did them all at once. I think that we could take our time, but there's no need to, I mean, if you don't want to, why would we do one and dribble them all out that way? I think that could lead us into more trouble. What if we came up with a comprehensive plan of change of policy and then let it out to the public and then approve it? I mean, and then discuss it and approve it. I think that makes more sense than doing it like this.
Where the board meets and decides whether or not to approve a policy?
Like say, I think your question was how do we proceed? Because we have talked about this for like 2 months about changing our, updating our policies.
We've been talking about it for like a year.
Exactly. So let's actually come up with an action plan to do that now, right? We could do that now. I volunteer to take, if we have you guys revisited the strategic plan from 2019?
Yes.
Okay, so.
The strategic plan is 2019 to 2023, but the strategic plan is not a policy.
No, I know.
And people say that we need policies, and I agree.
No, I'm not suggesting that it's a policy. I'm just suggesting a method that seems organized and effective.
What method is that? I'm not tracking.
To revise the policies. You sent us, I think, a list of the recommended policies, correct?
Yes.
So, like, say we divide that into, I would imagine 3 of us could volunteer to, I can't imagine everybody can, but 3 of us could have.
That's what I asked for people to do.
I say we do that now, and actually, instead of doing it on our own, and then come back and, you know, no one's doing it except for you, which is not fair to you. Why don't we now just say, we'll divide it into 3, and then be tasked with that for, I don't know what a reasonable amount of time is. I think 1 month would be difficult, but maybe 2 months to have, we could even put it on our agenda monthly to discuss updates or questions that anybody might have about something. I mean, when we actually revised our policies at school, but it was a bigger board and we had a separate committee. You know, like we had a whole committee that could meet separately and do it, which is too difficult a task for us to do.
Question on that. How did that procedure work? So they're looking at policies, the subcommittee, and they bring it back to the board. Was there opportunity for public review and comment?
Yes, and the board also had an opportunity. So what happened was it was gathered, it was done, it was gathered, it was presented to the board. The board had opportunity to read those things, then we came back to discuss, and then it was voted on. I don't remember, there wasn't a whole lot of public participation at the school board meetings. I don't know what it's like now these days, but I don't remember any public member having much of an opinion on that kind of stuff.
So Lauren, what do you think about sending this out as an addenda to tonight's minutes?
I mean, I think we could, Grace, but it's also like, do we want to do this singularly or do we want to do it collectively? Like for our own sake, for our own sake.
That's a good point.
Right, like why don't we do it all at once?
But I also do think that people who want to know about it,
what do you guys
and want to comment?
Can we ask them their opinion then?
I think they have some opinion.
No. From my perspective, steps forward are steps forward. Having a framework that we can go by, is nothing but helpful because.
And it's not going to be like written in stone.
Right.
Right. It's a policy. We can change it on a meeting and on the fly.
But I feel like it has been too long. This library has been too long without taking steps. You know, like this. I've been on the board for a year now, and boards before us did not have policies in place as they should have. And they did not have rules and procedures in place as they should have. So any steps that we are taking forward
are good
to move forward right now are positive steps.
Well, there's no
harm
in doing it. So
I think that
that's kind of what I was thinking. But we should not let that
prohibit us from moving forward.
Let us become
complacent. I don't want to be hamstringed by trying to do everything.
So does anybody else have interest in tackling policies besides Harley and me?
I'm sorry.
We talked about it last meeting.
You and I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my memory. It's bad. Well, we need to, I mean, one-on-one we can talk outside the meeting, but if it's 3 or more, then we can't. Right. Or we can, but it's public domain, right? So, do you, maybe Lindsay has advice.
1 second. I'm not sure what I don't like the idea of doing everything all at once because nothing happens. And I like the idea of eating an elephant one bite at a time. Getting it done, have an accomplishment, and working out the process. So that the process becomes much smoother and we're not trying to figure out what the best process is.
Well, I just want to get something done.
I think
keep moving forward.
Right. I mean,
and the community.
So how are we going to know, Harley, like for the next month until next meeting, who's doing what policy? Like, say you take it. Say you did these 2. You did gifts. You did pets or animals in the library. Like, how did you come to that decision? And you did rules of procedure. How are we going to know what you're working on and what you're not going?
I think he did those because there aren't any.
It doesn't matter. I mean, that's great why he did it. They needed to be done. But I'm just saying we need to organize how we're doing it.
And I did send an email saying I'm working on these 2 policies.
Yeah.
So that's how people know.
So that's how you want to, then we can just individually throw out.
I asked people to choose policies that they wanted to work on.
And there's a list that we're working off of, right, of policies that we currently need. And so as a group, we just need to sit down and say.
I think it's when he had like 3 different attachments with, you had some examples.
And like Lauren pointed out, we can only meet one-on-one.
This might be helpful information, so I'd like to hear what
Because
Lindsay has to say.
If it's three of
It
us,
may
then
be,
it's-
but we'll hold 1 second, and
But
yes,
yeah,
I
three of us
will
can't.
be the first person I call on. What process, I'm hearing something, which is the library is going to have policies. How do we, we're discussing it as a board, but can we distribute the policies, a draft of the draft we're considering, actually put it on the website, mark it draft, and have public input?
Absolutely.
I think that is a winner of an idea.
So does that include this?
That includes this, right?
That's a great idea.
Before
I like that.
we discuss it and adopt it, I'm hearing people say, let's, how do we know how to give you any input
And then
unless we know what the policy is?
We could drop to Nina, when, we could email Nina when any of us have a draft, a possible draft for, or we could
And
send it to each other.
I have read this, and I think this is a good draft. Just
Right, but,
so,
if, it is, to turn around and say, does the public have comment, and, well.
How would they know?
Yeah, what language is it in?
Right.
Yeah. Lindsay.
Thank you. So I have a couple of things to say. One is going back to what Catherine mentioned when you were sort of giving a brief overview of what this document indicates, which is of the rules of procedure. One of the things that you mentioned was agendas. So in the Pawlet public library bylaws, there are very specific guidelines that is outlined of how an agenda is to be formatted. So my question would be, I guess, for the board to explain how this document becomes separate from the bylaws. And for example, you've already mentioned appointing a vice chair. Well, we know that's not in the bylaws, and we also know that the agendas are in the bylaws. So it sort of seems like a gray area, like which items conflict with what the existing bylaws are, and how that might need to be revised, and which items become rules and procedures that do not exist. My second comment, and I'll try to make this brief, would be in terms of policies. Every library that I know of, and I've been a librarian, professional librarian, for over 15 years, typically the library director works closely with the library board, and that is the library director has the knowledge of how to run a library. And so typically the library director will write the policy based on their professional experience and what's current in the field, and present it to the board as a draft, of which is discussed or changed or, however, and then it's adopted, and that's why it's called adopted. So in terms of discussing, what are your procedures going to be in terms of writing new policies, there's one element that's missing here, which is nobody on the board has ever run a library, no one on the board has ever been a librarian, and you need that expertise knowledge in order to create proper policies for a library.
Yeah, no, and I did read that. I read that multiple times, looking at the Vermont standards and how to proceed and and that makes more sense. I mean, unfortunately, we're in the position of not having an active library director and in great need of the policy reform. I think that also, if we, and I also appreciate your point about the policies affecting or being influenced by the bylaws. We can't break, the bylaws a law, so that it trumps any other thing that we put on a policy. But I wasn't able to, I thought that there were stricter rules and regulations in changing bylaws, and we've gotten some conflicting information about that. I think Harley and I were exchanging some information about changing bylaws. This was earlier in the month.
Yes, I got information from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
Yeah. And I I know, I don't, that's kind of strange that they're, because I had originally learned from Kevin Unrath that it was that you create the policy, the bylaw, and then you have to warn it, and it takes 60 days, and then you vote, so people can come and talk about it, but that may not be entirely true. So we do have, I guess, we have to come up with a definitive answer about what that means. But no, Lindsay's point is fair. I mean, we're going off of models, state models, of recommended policies, and I still think that's a good place to start. I mean, I think that it's better than nothing.
What this is Public Library Board of Trustees Rules of Procedure for Meetings. This is for meetings. So this is a policy, but it's not a library policy like circulation, for example, which, no, I mean, I can read examples and come up with a good model, because there's plenty of examples, but I'm not a 15-year librarian.
Right.
But this is rules of procedure for meetings as what I thought was a starting point.
Yes.
Because we need help in these meetings. Monica?
Yes, I just heard, as a director, you introduced this new policy. How many pages is it?
It's 7 pages.
7 pages of the new policy, and immediately you asked this board to vote on it without reviewing it, without requesting.
For a motion.
To me, that is.
Asked for a vote.
But you still, for a motion that none of them have probably ever looked at.
The motion is a prelude to a vote.
So that's, I see the procedures here, there's huge discussions, and where are you going? It seems like your board meetings are not running properly. I mean, to ask your board members to vote on something that they haven't even seen, haven't discussed.
We have seen it. We have seen it. We have discussed it.
We have copies of it.
But it just doesn't make sense.
When have you discussed it?
Just now.
So you're just discussing it now?
This is when you discussed it. You've seen it earlier, but you're discussing it now. Right?
That's true.
Okay.
And the public has not seen it at all?
Correct.
It would just seem to me that this is the kind of thing you get out there for the public, because at the end of the day, it's the public that puts all of you at that table.
But Harley did suggest that we put it out for everyone to look at.
Not initially.
No, but he has, but he has now, so.
Can I make a motion?
Around to that.
Harley, can you ask me to make a motion?
No, we didn't.
You have a motion to make?
To post this on the website as a draft. And then we can discuss and vote on it next meeting.
Okay. Should we do that with all the
You gotta second
draft?
it. You gotta second it before, that's a motion. So I'll second it and then we can discuss.
Okay, or amend.
Yeah.
Or amend, we can discuss it.
Would a possible amendment to that motion be all drafts of revised or new policies be posted on the website? How long before the meeting at which it will be discussed and voted on?
Maybe the following month, like it depending if it's gonna.
Well, I can send it out when I send the minutes.
Yeah, so that would be 3 weeks.
No, it would be 5 days.
No, 3 weeks ahead of the next meeting about.
So it's as very much as draft, but I think I like this, but I think people should be able to see it.
Okay. Now, this actually gives a procedure about amending motions. I don't recall it. So I make a motion to amend? I'm not sure.
What are we amending?
Do you want to just make a new motion?
That the original motion was rules of procedure. I'd like to amend it and say all policies being revised or created shall be posted on the website 2 weeks ahead prior to the meeting at which they will be discussed.
I'm sorry,
Okay, so
I'm not
that's the
following.
amendment. I amended the motion. I moved to
It's really a new
amend.
motion. It's different. Grace was talking about putting information out along with the next minutes about this, right?
I think you're correct, Sue. So I think this is
So-
just this.
Yes.
And
Okay,
then
all right,
I like,
okay,
that's a
that's fine.
new motion,
Yes,
which
okay.
I think I
All
agree
right.
with.
Do we have a second for Grace's motion?
Lauren did.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
motion.
Any discussion?
Not anymore discussion.
We're about to make a decision. I will ask for public input. Marty?
Yes, I think, it's not timely while the library and the town are in the midst of legal actions regarding the dismissal of the director for you to start changing any policies, because you might be making changes that are inconsistent with what's been going on. And some of you may not even end up on this board by the time legal actions are finished. So I think this is the kind of thing that, even though it may be necessary, it's not timely right now. You should just set this thing aside and settle the legal battle that you've got going on.
We have no control over the legal battle, Marty.
You
So we do
initiated the
have
legal
control
battle. You
over running
initiated-
the library, and we will do our duty to run the library.
You haven't up until
Any
now,
other
Harley.
comments? Jed?
I think you ought to just go ahead and vote and adopt this policy. It's the board's policy. It's just about how you run a meeting. It's got nothing to do with how you run the library, and it's your prerogative whether you want to give people 2 minutes or 20 minutes.
They're one and the same.
We just the way it is, we never get anything done.
I really appreciate that, that's what I prefer to do, but I think that people have a right to look at it, even though it is just dragging things out.
Yes. Thank you, Jed.
Thank you, Jed.
Do we have a vote for, oh, sorry, did you raise your?
No, thank you. I did. I just want to thank you because I do think in the, pursuit of transparency, that's the right step, is putting this information to the public. Whether, maybe everybody's like, oh great, that's great, or whatever, but that's the standard for any public body to allow for input on things like that, and just listen and maybe disregard what the public says, but still to let the public know what you're adopting. I mean, that makes sense. It's a good one.
Thank you, Corey.
Would you restate the motion, please?
Which, wait, a new one or the one?
No.
My motion was to post this on the website as a draft.
Okay.
And within the 5 days that I have to finish minutes.
When is Nina back from vacation? Is that
Thursday. Yes, she'll
Nina will be in on Thursday? I can submit it, if that's okay, submit it to Nina.
Yes, please do.
Okay.
So that people can read it. I mean, I can't imagine anyone having an issue with it. It's pretty straightforward and...
Really? Are you new here? So we've had a motion and a second. Any more discussion among the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone, motion carries. Do we have a motion to post all policies being considered for revision?
I feel
Or
like
new policies?
we need to revisit that before. I think this is a good start.
But before discussing any specific policies like these two, for example, do we want to use this procedure that we've adopted for the rules of procedure to policies that we are considering revising with a draft, and have the draft available for review by the public before the meeting at which it will be discussed?
My thought is the animals one, yes, because that seemed really straightforward to me. I'm not sure if there was an incident that, brought this up. The gifts one, I want to look at again. I did think Lauren, you had another.
Adopting it. We're posting it on the website.
No,
like if somebody
but I think we
creates
wanna
a document
talk about it first
before we even post a draft.
Of the
Do you
gift,
agree,
of the
Lauren?
gift one.
Yeah.
Of the gift one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's,
All right.
There's some things I want to think about more.
Okay.
I read it, and I briefly read the one that you sent, Lauren.
So in terms of a procedure as we draft policies, do we want to have the procedure that when there is a draft of a policy, any of us can draft policies and have it posted on the website, but it's a draft, and for consideration by the public? Do we want to do that?
I think that we should have a meeting and we should talk about it at a meeting before we agree that that's the draft that should be posted on.
Yeah, I agree,
on the
yes.
website.
I agree with that.
Okay, I hear it. All right.
Just to recapitulate, you're saying that the draft comes to the board meeting, the board discusses it, and then it goes to
Then
the
agrees on the
Right.
draft.
That's
Yeah.
great. I agree with that. Thank you.
Does that need to be in the form of a motion, or is that just a procedure that?
I think that's just, I don't think it has to be a motion.
I think
Okay.
that's just how we do things.
All right.
But we agreed on this one.
To somebody
Yes.
else now.
So,
Okay.
I think that's fine. I don't think we need to do anything else.
And I think it's, pretty unusual. I think it's really nice, because I think it's extra transparency and involvement of the community, so that's good faith, but I think Lindsay's right that ordinarily it'd be something you would do if you're, I know, sorry, I'm not feeling 100%, so I'm not probably as loud as I normally would be.
Thank you.
Could I make a request on the floor?
Yes?
If Nicole is the one,
Nina.
if Nina is the one that's going to post this draft, I'm just wondering if she could create a new tab on your website, because the way it is now, your minutes are buried under a tab that says staff. It's not really very user-friendly for the public to find your minutes. And if you're going to post this as an agenda to the minutes, that's even going to be harder to find. So if she could make a tab maybe for drafts of policies, or a tab that says minutes, plus drafts of policies, I just think it would be very helpful. And I want to say, in a broader context, there are several things wrong with that website, and it would really help to have somebody who's skilled to look over it and try to organize it in a more user-friendly way. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I was looking at other websites today that I thought were a little bit easier to navigate. But
So that concludes this element of the
great.
Unfinished business. I will follow through with Nina on the, at least making this accessible.
Thank you.
Book sale. We no longer do online sales of rare books. We have lost the volunteer who was doing that for doing that. So do we want to have online sales of rare books? Catherine, if I could put you on the spot, about how much were we getting per year from online sales of rare books?
Oh, where's mine? Sorry, got too many papers here.
About 1,000, right?
It was over 1,000 last fiscal year. This fiscal year, to date, it is $954. So it was on track to be 1,000 or so this year too, and too bad we've lost that income.
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that we're not gonna get that income in another format, and maybe someone else will do it, or we sell them in a separate area of the book sale with more expensive ones.
There is a separate area of the book sale.
Yeah,
But these are,
thank you. I don't feel one bit bad about that, because we didn't ask anything of that volunteer that shouldn't have been easy to do, so.
That's fine, but what are we going to do? Do we want to continue to have online book sales?
No, not until we have a volunteer that is willing to do it with it.
Wait, I think I see a volunteer. Joanne?
No, I have a question. You said approximately last year, did the library gain $1,000 or?
Yes.
So that's what's netted. That's after the volunteer took her commission, after the payment was made to aid books?
Yes.
Right? So
Net to the library.
net to the library.
Minus
So
expenses.
I'm going back years when I was very involved with Pat Fry and Dolores with the book sale. It was about when the book sale was being set up. They had a person come in and evaluate the rare books, and then they were sold to the public. And there was no cost involved.
Do you remember what it generated, Joanne?
No, you'd have to probably look at that, because I'm talking, we're talking 10, 20 years ago.
Clarification, we still sell rare books at the book sale.
Okay.
These are ones that show up like, type in the ISBN or whatever, and they show up as, oh, that's worth getting a broader market to look at it.
Okay, so is there any particular reason when the booksellers are going through the donations and they target some of these books, that these books are then taken to the library because they've been owned by the library, correct?
Yeah.
Then someone evaluates what cost they could get for the books, and it's all handled either by the book committee or by the library staff.
Yes.
And that way, there's not anyone taking a commission or extra payments being put out.
I didn't quite follow. How are the books flagged as being possibly valuable to that level, like that they should be considered for a broader market?
How have they always been done?
How have they been done in the past?
Just old.
We were posting them online and selling them.
No. How are you determining that, which ones were more valuable? You said you'll come across them.
Why don't you pick out certain books? How are those books?
The volunteer who was doing it is still doing that part of it.
Great.
For taking the books to sell in the rare book room.
Okay.
Of the book sale.
So then the book committee can bring those books to the library, and a staff member very easily can look up and see what the worth of those books are. I mean, it's not like it was 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, anybody can do it.
There's many online websites where you can determine the value of a book is.
Well, those 7 boxes of books that were posted online and are no longer posted online are downstairs in the kitchen area. If we have a staff member that could look through them and do this, that would be workable.
Or we matriculate them back into the annual book sale.
What about keeping the money?
What?
No, someone still needs to go through and figure out what they're worth.
Well, that happens anyway at the book sale.
Well, we don't have the person who did that anymore.
Yes, we have the person doing that for the rare book room. We still have that person. I misunderstood that also at first.
So can a staff member?
So what I'm hearing is that we don't do online book sales.
No, not now.
Okay. We don't reach the market that we do at the annual books.
It doesn't mean that not forever, but I mean, perhaps we advertise. Do you want to advertise for someone to do that? Do you want to advertise that the Pawlet Library is looking for
a volunteer?
It wasn't a volunteer. She was taking a commission.
She was paying
No, I know, but
for the
wait,
shipping.
of course.
And all that commission was paying her expenses. It wasn't paying her.
You don't know this. You never had it, you never had it
Catherine.
documented.
Okay, so, right now, we do not have online book sales.
Correct.
And if we want to have online book sales, what would it take?
So, we didn't have online book sales before Linda volunteered her time to do that?
I don't know.
No. No.
Do you remember what happened?
No, nothing happened. We didn't have it. It started, I don't know, with Linda stepping in and doing this. It was
And like realizing that you could make more money.
Yes, Mary Lou.
Well, she does it as a business on
the
her own.
director then, but
She wasn't just selling.
no, yeah, she's been doing this for a very long time. She did it for a library in Maine when she lived up there, and then she moved here, and she volunteered at the library. She came in, and when we found out the skills that she had, then they decided to start selling online books to add to what we already make, which is, you know, it worked out.
Yes, but
Now,
we don't
yeah,
have that
it's
now.
Yeah.
Reaching that broader market was giving us somewhere between 900 and 1,000 a year. Do we have any idea
like
about
about
what we want to
10%.
do now? I'm sorry?
Do you have any ideas?
My idea got vetoed by the volunteer. So I don't, I understand that there's lots of people who do this, who would be doing this kind of thing. That's what I heard.
I know
And
there's a market for valuable books, for sure.
yes, do you want to, does any board member want to search for someone to do the work? Or does any board member want to do the work?
Can I speak about?
Monica's had her hand up for a long
Is
time.
Monica volunteering?
I don't know.
You need an expert. If books are coming in that might be valuable and maybe used in this library, you want, is this all about money or building up your library and an expert to evaluate, shall we keep this in our library?
Yes, I agree. Because right now, I think that path actually gets missed. And if I understand the story correctly, when we had someone who knew rare books look at what we were selling in the rare book room, the volunteer in the rare book room refused to sell to her or give to her for the library. I don't understand the story, but it didn't sound right to me. The first stop for a rare book should be, does it enhance our collection?
Exactly, and you need an expert who knows. You just can't just have a volunteer who has no clue about evaluating rare books.
Sometimes experts volunteer. Yes.
Linda, did you have an idea?
Well, yes, I did. I was thinking, you know, why doesn't the board consider selling these books at the book sale, priced as they would be priced if they were being sold online, and just see how they do. You know, maybe they'll fly off the shelves. I know that there are people that line up that are booksellers and deal in books, and they run in there to get the books. So it might be a situation. And
no, Jed, what Lindsay's suggesting is we actually charge the same amount that you would online, and if they don't, we don't sell it to them.
Because dealers come and they are frothing, they're just dying.
The way it was always done.
They can't buy anything. We get the same for a year.
So I was just going to finish the comment, and the other, you know, positive aspect to that is that people in the local area have sort of first chance or access to these books if they want them.
Yeah, that's
rather
also
than
true.
sending them to Texas or wherever.
So, two points to that. One is the local person getting to see them, thumbs up. Another thing that occurs to me based on your comment is our loss is not going to be the $900 to $1,000
right.
because we may sell some at the book sale.
Right.
It doesn't address Monica's point about how does the library decide what enhances their collection. Right now, we do not have the expertise to do that.
Right, we're just, right. Got it.
But
No, so I think this is a community library where people, like, I know this was brought up last meeting. I don't think that our job is to draw scholars in here. I think it's to draw locals and their kids in to, like, you know, look at these, like, really smart books, a lot of which I sit here and I'm like, man, I haven't read that yet. I should read that, you know, and encourage kids to read and older people to read and middle-aged people like me to read. I don't think we need a rare book collection.
okay, well, true, but it enhances.
I mean, yeah,
it
like
could
some cool
enhance,
stuff, but
Classics.
Did you want something? But somebody.
Sorry, there's one more comment.
Yeah, I just feel the first customer of every book that comes in should be the library. And the library should decide whether it's going to keep that book for its own collection or sell it.
So that will, so once we have a library director, we can do that, but we don't now, so.
I think it should be, because how else is the library going to get new books?
Right.
You know?
We're working on it.
And they're free, these are free, and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Marty.
Yeah, I think this isn't an either-or proposition. A library can be multifaceted, but I think one of the anchors of any good library is having something unique, whether you have a specialty in a certain topic, or whether you've got rare books. Of course you're going to continue to serve the general public and children's programs and everything else, but what you really need, and this came up at a prior meeting, there's nothing right now unique about the collection in this library, nothing at all. This is a generic library, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a lot more, and all it takes is a vision of how you put this place on the map and what is wrong with having a specialty collection that draws in scholars. That enhances the stature of the library and in no way detracts from children's programs or knitting programs or anything else you do. It just enhances the library itself. It puts it on the map.
That would be, in a strategic plan, a good goal to consider and the steps towards it. Not to come at the expense of other things, but why not have a cherry on top in the library? Sue, thanks for turning on the lights. We have no motion on that was just an update. We are going to sell the rare books, all rare books, at the book sale in the rare book room. Thank everyone for their input. Book sale committee. We need a book sale committee to, time is getting short. Does anyone want to serve on any other board member want to serve on the book sale committee to meet and make sure that we're doing everything we're supposed to do in a timely manner at some other time other than the board meeting? The erstwhile volunteers who haven't resigned yet are Janine Seitz, Commander-in-Chief of the Book Sorting, Jed Rubin, and Linda Welch, and myself. Is any other board member want to volunteer?
What is that?
It may be some
Like
action
help
items about
sorting?
making phone calls to volunteers, making sure we have staffing for the book sale itself, the staffing prior to the book sale. Sorry?
We had an advertising committee last year. We had somebody in charge of food, because that's all important at the book sale.
I've started working on that a little bit.
The advertising?
The food.
You did?
A little bit.
We had somebody in charge of a food sale?
That's right. We handed out assignments.
Yeah. We did. We had a list and we handed out assignments.
So you had a committee?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Completely forgot.
No, the board did it.
So the board was the committee?
The board was the committee that runs the book sale.
Divvied up the responsibilities?
Yes.
One outside volunteer who headed up a food, bake sale on Saturday.
I talked to her, and I can't think of her first name. Sally Cleveland, and she's awaiting a phone call from you, because I saw her, she came to one of our events, her and her husband. So she is interested. That's all. I'm just passing though. You were on vacation, so.
I also spoke to Sally, and she wants to contact someone to lead it, and Sally would help that person. It was a younger person that she was going after.
Did she have a name?
She didn't share a name with me.
But she knew of someone.
Yes, she knew of someone that she was going to ask to help her with the bake sale, but that's the bake sale. There's food, volunteers, advertising. What are the other big areas? I'm drawing a blank.
I've spoken as far as food. I've contacted the Lewis Maple truck, and they're waiting to hear back from dates from them. I've also talked to Pete, who makes sausages in Rupert, who has a food truck, and he tentatively believes he's free for that Sunday. So if we had the bake sale on Saturday as a draw, we could have his food possibly on Sunday as another reason to come to the book sale, because they're delicious.
Okay.
If that happens, then we would definitely want to advertise it soonish.
Yes.
Did anybody talk to the school about that? Did you talk to the school about it?
There would be food trucks out front, so I have not yet spoken to the school, but I will.
Yeah, we need to contact the school and make sure that they're even going to let us use the
Yes.
school.
Right.
I believe you took care of that last year, Harley, right?
Heather did a lot less.
Heather did it because she was wired in.
Yeah.
Okay, I have the action of the school.
And the other one is the
transporting
4-H group.
That's under volunteers.
Help move the book.
I need assistance on volunteers, and we need someone to be the lead for food, making sure that volunteers are set up to bring food at different times during the sale for the volunteers. And we need someone for advertising. Do we have any board members interested in leading the advertising or the food?
Nina and I can do the advertising. That's not a problem if you want us to take that on.
And I'd be happy to do the food. If you can help me.
I can help you because I
can help. I just don't necessarily want to be the lead.
Yeah, could you help with that?
I just don't. You've got institutional memory of what.
I think it'd be a good idea to reach out to the high schools about community service for volunteers.
Yeah.
I think that, like Granville, Long Trail, Barn Burton, like those kids have to accumulate hours, and that's a great way to do it.
Who would like to do that?
I'll do that. But can you tell me, will you be able to tell me how many volunteers and over the time and all that kind of stuff, what the requirements are?
Who were those kids that stopped by last year?
It was
to help bring the boxes in.
Eric Hyatt's son.
Because it was just...
Oh, because he was just driving by and saw us. Yeah.
4-H, so maybe, 4-H and but I still think the community hours.
I think that's a great idea.
The 4-H group, those parents bring vehicles because we have to move the books.
But that can be part and parcel with us.
I have access
talking
to a Sprinter van.
And if anybody else knows of anybody who would be willing to supply a truck that night, although with Dan Buck, we don't usually need too many trucks.
Is he willing again this year?
If he's part of the 4-H group, that's where the contact.
What kind of truck?
He's got a big...
It's a huge truck. It takes like half.
Is that Sasa?
Huh?
Is that Sasa?
Daniel Buck.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Have you, like the Sprint, the Mercedes?
So I have,
inside, they're just open hugeness.
for advertising, I have Nina and Adele. For food, Joni with assistance by Catherine. For volunteers, myself, Lauren, to pursue some new avenues of volunteers. For coordinating with the school, I have that action. Are there any other major areas I'm not thinking
I thought
of?
I said I would help with some of those.
Janine?
Unfortunately, I think.
Sorry?
We'll have to do what?
Publicity is the advertising.
I will take care of lining up cashiers and money, and I will call Sally about the bake sale.
Okay.
Now what about pickup on Sundays or pack up? Are you gonna get the 6th graders in Meadowee?
Yeah, rising 6th graders.
Because you have to pack up all the books once the sale is over to get them ready for pickup the next day from
Discover
Books. Discover out of
that
Rhode
contact?
Island.
Do you have that contact, Harley?
Yes, I have that. I will take care of that, but the rising 6th graders, I will find out who the teacher is for next year's 6th grade.
June?
July.
Oh, good.
27th, 28th is the book sale.
So
So basically, they move the books from Jed's Barn to Meadowee. Thursday, everybody gets together and they unpack them and set the tables up and get it all ready. Friday's like a fluff day to make sure everything's in order. And then Saturday, the doors open at 9 a.m. and it's a mad rush.
yeah.
And the two gentlemen that work at the school are always a tremendous
Yes,
help.
because we gotta move tables.
Cool.
Tables have to be moved over there.
And
All
they
our
set
tables.
all that up for us. They do all that.
Yeah.
And they, I think,
Yeah, all these tables. They come,
they come and get
They
them.
come and get them?
yeah. So,
That's
but we
huge.
pay them. The board pays them. The library
We give
pays
them
them.
a stipend,
Yeah.
basically.
Any more discussion on the book sale? I'm going to follow this up with,
Jed?
Jed, sorry.
Is the advertising committee gonna put up the Burma Cave signs?
Those signs.
Jed, that was so much fun last year. Don't you want to do it again?
But if you guys would like to do it again, I've never done it, so you're more than welcome to do it again.
Are they in your barn, Jed?
Are they in the barn? Do they probably need to be updated, don't they? Repainted?
No, they're, I love them.
Oh, okay.
We have the dates.
Oh, okay, great. So you just hook them on?
And Jed, it's the high point of my year working with you on that, so I hate to give it up.
And Rick and I will help again this year, too.
Okay.
Wow.
That's great.
I'm not asking, I'm telling. It was fun. It was fun.
If you have enough help.
Huh?
If you have enough help.
Well, there were 4 of us last year. Is that enough?
So much fun if there's 2 people.
Right.
Hotter than hell.
We'll just have to do it early.
That, I think, nails down the book sale and reminded me of how it's supposed to be done. Trustee training from the Vermont Department of Libraries, there's been a slight wrinkle. The Vermont Department of Libraries says you can't have 5 trustees in the room at the same time.
It's a quorum?
Oh, goodness.
But the rules actually on Vermont Open Meeting is you can't have 5 trustees in any place at the same time discussing board business.
Right, so if we're not discussing board business, then we're fine.
Well,
It's just rules.
the person doing the training is the one who has this opinion. So my action on this is to get Vermont League of Cities and Towns lawyer to pronounce judgment and try to convince.
We've done it before.
And we've done it before, yes.
Warn the meeting. Just warn it like a meeting and call it
Training.
board training. You warn it like it's a meeting. And then you're covered that it's a meeting, but it's just board training. And you'll be all set.
All meetings require public comment.
But limited, you limit it.
But no one's gonna want to come to the board
I
training.
won't come over.
Hasn't worked.
I won't send out the emails.
Do we have a time and date for that?
I'm working with Kevin Unrath on it right now. I'm also working with Rupert Library, Middletown Library, and Pawlet Libraries to see when we can coordinate. It's likely going to be next week, the week of the 13th. He said that he could do it anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And so that gives us a wide window. So I'm going to be sending out.
Is it different than the one that they did online when he has the big, it's got a PowerPoint and everything like that? Because he ran that. I participated in it and he and another person did it.
It's probably either exactly the same or similar.
So I did it, and I also signed up for something in Killington, and I'm going to share that with all you guys via email. I think I had to pay $20, and I didn't care. I mean, I'm sure the library could pay for it, but
Organized by who?
Vermont. I'm going to send it to you. I'll send it to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How did you hear about it?
On the Vermont, all that training stuff.
So we will warn the meeting. So
if I had my computer, Catherine, I'd be able to tell you, but I don't.
Presumably pleased.
Okay.
Okay. Director hiring. We need to move on director hiring.
Yes.
I think the board decision is deciding to hire a director and having 2 committee members from the board lead that effort. Would need a motion, a second discussion. So do we have a motion to engage in the hiring process for a new library director?
I will make a motion that we engage in the hiring process to hire a new library director.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Well, I mean, I think you probably all can predict that I'm not supportive of it. It's not that I'm uncomfortable with it, I'm totally against it, and I still support mediation. I'm concerned about what it's cost us and what it's going to continue to cost us, and I'm concerned about the way it all happened, so that's my opinion, and I'm going to vote that way, but that's not a surprise to anybody.
Other discussion?
I think that we've all
From the public? Sue?
Yeah, no, I'm totally against it. You don't have policies online, you don't have procedures in line. You've been paying for attorneys secretly between meetings. You're costing the town money. You're costing the library support. This is not the time to bring somebody else into the mix. If you're worried about whether your current assistant director gets a vacation, she'd take her vacation, lock the door. Say, okay, she's got her vacation. To force this situation, and March is coming, the month of March 2025 is coming very, very soon. And you're going to have at least 2 members of the board aren't going to be here then. So, I mean, things are going to be changing, and to bring somebody else in and waste time hiring somebody in is a mistake.
Thank you. I think Marty's hand was up first.
Yeah, I've said this at previous meetings. I think this is totally inappropriate while you're in the midst of legal actions. And the legal actions may possibly result in the reinstatement of the previous director who you fired. And at the same time, Sue had a good point that you're currently spending library money on legal actions, and you're spending town money on legal actions. I haven't heard of any real attempts, maybe in executive session, or attempts at mediation or arbitration, but nothing has been announced. And until you get your ducks in a row about what's happening with your attorney and Merrill Bent and Lindsay's attorney, until there's a resolution, it's totally inappropriate to replace Lindsay. As far as many people are concerned in this town, she is still the director. And that's just a fact, because we have no idea, none, why she was fired. It has never been announced to the public. It has never been announced to her. Everything's an executive session. You can't go on like this. You can't keep burying it. And I did have one question that for Catherine, and it goes right to the point. What was the total intake of grant money over the past 6 months? Okay. What was the intake of grant money over the past 6 months, and how does that compare with the previous year? I'd like to know. Has the library taken in any grant money at all?
6 months? No.
The past 6 months?
Past 6 months, no.
Okay, and how does that
compare
to the same period the year before?
Don't know the answer.
Could Catherine tell us or give us a rough estimate?
Do you know offhand?
I know of one.
About $10,000.
He said 1 year ago.
It was a grant.
A year ago.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Over a 6-month period.
Thank you, Marty. Corey?
I'm also against pursuing hiring. You guys haven't come up with the employment contract or an agreement to hire somebody, and you haven't gotten with the select board to figure out the exact, process as far as she's a town employee. Lindsay was paid by the town of Pawlet, not the library directly, so there isn't a clear understanding of that chain of command, who, I don't believe that the library board had the right to fire her, honestly. So it just is so much confusion. I don't think you can attract the best candidate, Lindsay aside, in this environment. And like the Wells Library is hiring right now too, so we'd be competing with them. They've treasured their librarian. It's just been they have such good PR about their library and that experience. I don't think that we can compete right now. I think you guys need to do a lot of board work, come together, do some mending with the public, and then that would be appropriate to pursue hiring.
Thank you, Corey. Clarification. The select board does not involve itself in the hiring or firing of library personnel.
They approved her hiring. Or not.
No, they approved her hiring, and like I say, they pay her paycheck.
The select board did not approve her hiring.
Yes, they did, Harley.
She was on the board when it happened.
Please do show me in the minutes of the select board where they had a motion to approve the hiring of the library director.
They approved it. You went over, or not you, but Diane would have gone over, and they would have approved it. They approved.
Please show me in the minutes, and when you do, I will change my mind, but I'm telling you what our policies say. Another clarification for Marty, we, the library, did not cost the town attorney funds.
That's not got $4,400 in legal costs right now.
That's true.
Maybe more.
That's true.
$3,500 from library donations.
We did not cost the town those $4,400. The library did not spend that money.
What is Merrill Bent working on?
But like I said, the town pays the librarian. There is confusion as to who that employee belongs to. That's just a fact. There's confusion.
Show me in the minutes.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying the town sends the paycheck. She's paid by the town of Pawlet, not the library board. There is confusion as to who the employer and the employee is. That's just a fact.
Okay.
And Merrill Bent is paid by the town.
The chair recognizes
That's
Jed.
not insurance.
I believe the board should go ahead, look for a new director. I believe Lindsay knows why she was fired, and if she told you folks why, you would all head home wondering what the hell happened.
Why did she get fired, Jed?
I don't know.
But I
have full confidence in the board acting legally.
And so you think Lindsay's lying? You think she's lying, that she doesn't know why she was fired?
Monica, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I just find this whole matter so detrimental to the town, to the character of this town, what is happening, and this long drawn-out matter. It is embarrassing to our town. I mean, we had an incident with Bangay. It was written up all over in the New Yorker. Now we're going to have another incident with the town about this library thing. I think as board members, you have to get yourselves together and finish this matter. You cannot drag it on like this. And you have to really, it's not your personal matter, it's the whole town is suffering because of what you did here. Because of your policies. Because of the policies that you or lack, or whatever. But it's embarrassing to the town. It really is. We shouldn't have to go on like this at all. And I would take it upon yourselves to either get it done or resign and have fresh people in here. Because you can't go on like this and drag the town down.
Thank you. I say we move on and get it done.
I've got something to say about Rockingham.
Do we have any more discussion among the board?
Rockingham?
All in favor of moving forward with the director hiring? Aye.
In Rockingham, the librarian got her job back. After the board...
Order, please. Order, please.
After the board fired her unjustly, the librarian in Rockingham got her job back. And
do you understand when you can speak and when you are not allowed to speak?
Harley, you're not letting me.
Will you please excuse yourself?
Screw you, Harley. Harley, you act like, excuse me? I'm an open kimono kind of girl, Harley. I'll give you the information.
Did you vote?
Yep.
All against?
Loudly.
No. Okay. Motion carries. I would like to be on the select committee to execute the search. Who else on the board wants to be on the select committee to execute a search?
Maybe on a select committee.
John.
What will happen though if you lose the lawsuit that Lindsay's potentially filing for a wrongful termination and she's reinstated? Like, what will that do to the person that you potentially hire?
Potentially there will be a lawsuit.
Right.
I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But it'll be years.
No, that took less than a year at Rockingham.
Rockingham went on for 5 years.
Took less than an hour.
That's not, doesn't have anything to do with us.
Exactly. Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay.
It's very similar.
List of policies,
but the methodology
existing and
that has been
non-existing.
used has cost us a lot of money.
I did not, I'm moving on to policies. List of policies, I actually didn't print the list of policies to,
I'm
you know,
sorry,
the
I
nice
missed that email, so I didn't see the list.
I was curious about if there was an issue with pets or animals.
No, there isn't. I'm just trying to...
I liked that. I thought that was good. Like I said earlier, I want to revisit the gifts and donations policy before we vote on it or post it even.
Oh, before we even post it,
I don't
okay.
know what anyone else thinks.
So the next thing under, there's a list of policies out that I sent, but I don't have it in front of me. Order, please. Gifts policy. So we're not approving policies tonight. However, I am interested in any feedback since I pulled this together.
Well, I did get a response that, I knew you were working today, and it was late because you sent those policies out a couple of days ago, but I wasn't comfortable with all the language in the gifts policy, and I pulled an example from the Bennington Library in McCullough.
I wanted to look at both of those again.
Yeah. So
I pretty much liked Harley's, but I think I briefly looked over that one you sent because I was working today.
I would like to look at them side by side as well.
This and gifts and...
Gifts.
I sent a
She
separate
said
gift
one plus the one that you...
Oh, yes, thank you. I haven't seen that yet.
Right, I know you were working.
This was an example that I found, I modified slightly, actually making it a little bit less onerous.
Yeah, I did think, Lauren, the one you sent was a whole lot like that.
What's that?
7 pages.
Well, it was...
No, I want to look at...
Part of that was the way it was printed, too, and written.
I see.
Vermont statutes online about gifts.
Yes, no, I saw them.
Okay.
I saw that, too.
Okay.
Thank you.
I haven't. I'll write that down.
So hopefully we can all look at those and have a good discussion next month.
Well, that clarifies that. Is there any, pets policy? Before is it ready to be posted, or do people?
I think so.
I think you can put a draft.
I have to go to the restroom, so you're gonna have to pause.
I think we should post it as a draft along with this, and then if people claim so include.
This is a draft, it seems farther away.
Oh, no, sorry, not that. This.
Okay, yes.
I was writing something else. They're like, you're gonna be so hot. I'm like, no, it's freezing in here.
I get cold, but I think it's nerves. There is not supposed to be all this chit-chat going on.
Okay. I'm waiting.
Yeah. I forget the language.
Do we have to vote on posting the draft pets policy?
Yeah, I think it was...
I think we have to vote.
I think it says on the Vermont library.
Right,
so much.
but as a draft.
Yeah, I mean, they have nothing to do with the library other than signing the checks. There's no oversight whatsoever.
Do you have any business?
So it was
Oh, yeah.
hierarchies, yeah, right. Right, it was
That wasn't under new
surreptitiously
business.
going to the select board whenever.
I think we're just down to our list.
Acknowledge our authority.
Yes.
Yes. That's a cap.
You're welcome. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah. I don't know what the agenda is. I don't know your last name. The new pieces, the sausage, yeah. What's the creamery? They come over the Pawlet. Yeah. Taking the Pawlet cheese and... Thank you so much. Hopefully you'll like it. The Pawlet. Right.
Does it help you?
Okay.
I'm actually working for a But does it help you if
Thank you.
Very welcome to Copiche. Now I can have more water. I was dying.
Zoom, Lauren, update from Lauren is what I wrote in the agenda.
Yeah, for old news. Well, I talked to Matt Levitra, and he said that, I think the stuff that he does around the library is paid for by the select board, by the town, but he said that...
It's not.
Oh, he said it was.
Not the shoveling and all that. No, we pay for that.
Yeah, well, anyway, he said that he could do it, it would take 1 to 2 hours, and his price was oddly $97.75 an hour, which I thought...
To do what?
To we talked about cleaning up the brush and cleaning off the back steps, but...
It's done.
It's done, for free.
For free, we always take free.
Talking about windows?
No, no, so for windows, I talked to Rusty Kelly, he cannot do it himself, so he directed me to Gene Bilko, who I know also from he's from Londonderry, and actually I saw Al, Gene's son, and they're gonna come out and give us an estimate, and they do actually other libraries and municipal buildings, and they have experience with huge things like this. I think it's probably gonna be costly, but he said that what other towns do is they'll do the full job, when they remove the storms and put them back on maybe once every few years, and then just do the insides and outsides annually, which keeps the cost down. So they're going to come out. They're so busy they weren't able to come out before today, but they'll come out soon, probably next week, and then they'll give us an estimate, which I'll present to you guys next month. How do you like that?
Yeah, love it. Thank you.
It's awesome.
Okay. And
I didn't ask you what time it was. Was that mine?
Yeah.
Is that what it said?
That's great.
I think.
We just had somebody show up at our house to estimate cleaning our windows. I had no idea we were going to clean our windows.
Oh.
But it's a gray area about what the town pays for. For example, we got the locks, Lizzie went ahead and replaced the locks.
Yeah.
And that was paid for by the town.
Oh, so is this something that I should present to the select board?
Maintenance of the building.
Maybe it's a select board issue.
It's hard to say if it's like snow
We
shoveling.
would go to them with an estimate.
So when I get all the information, I'm happy to go to them as well.
And then if they say no, they say no.
During the select board meetings, there's always this entry for facilities. And they look at me about the library, and I say something, and I can ask them, or if you're there, you can.
Either way.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, public comment.
So new business was just that?
Oh, sorry. There was no new business.
Right, okay.
That was, is there new business? Any new business? We didn't specify. Public comment.
Great, we're almost done. Do not kill those chickens.
Yes, Sue?
According to the Commons newspaper out of Bellows Falls, it's been a tumultuous 12 months as library boards go, but with the finalization and signing of a contract, litigation has all but ended between the fired library director, Selena Poolney, and the trustees of the Rockingham Free Public Library. So it was 12 months. It was not 3 years. And she got her job back. So anyway, and also, as you know, the library director, Lindsay Barnes, was fired by Harley Cudney with the support of certain library board members with no explanation or causes ever made public. What is made public is that Ms. Barnes filed a harassment complaint against Mr. Cudney 5 weeks prior to being fired and 1 week after receiving a raise in salary, while also receiving an award from the Vermont Library Association. This dismissal came after Ms. Barnes fired a library volunteer whose actions with regard to the sale of rare books for the library came into question. Blah, blah, blah. Mr. Cudney has demonstrated throughout this matter deficiencies in both temperament and experience with library operations to serve on this board. This includes sarcastic and inappropriate comments to members of the public. It was also a reason for the harassment charges filed against him. With respect to necessary experience, he has repeatedly failed to run a board meeting according to governing rules, failed to set and follow agendas, failed to properly notice hearings, and repeatedly cut off public questions and discussions. I would refer to you I would refer you to an article in the Manchester Journal dated April 12th. You must be aware of Ms. Barnes' intent to bring legal actions against the town, Mr. Cudney, and the library board. This can only result in further waste of public funds for legal fees by both the taxpayers and on behalf of the town and the library donors. It's time for the library board to either resign or have the select board intervene in this matter and reinstate Ms. Barnes, as her lawsuit has a very good chance of succeeding, based on similar suits in other municipalities, as I just stated. So anyway, this part of this is from Marty. It's a letter he wrote to the select board, and part of it is me.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Reflection of operating norms. How did we do?
We're getting done before 10:30. You want me to read them again? Focus on agenda topics, be open-minded, respect each other, value different viewpoints, be responsive and responsible to our community referencing the strategic plan, make decisions based on data and facts, listen to each other, be reflective, run meetings that respect time, have concise agendas, and are transparent.
Thank you, Catherine. June 4th is the first Tuesday of June that does not conflict with a select board meeting. Does that work for the board?
It works for me, but I would ask that if Catherine could let us know, or me know, or all of us know when those bills are due, if we could, would we consider changing our regular monthly meeting to accommodate the bills so that we can accommodate the warrant?
Any board member is welcome to come in and see the warrant. I always send out
do you want to just...
an email stating that it's here.
No, do you want to send out an email of the warrant? I mean, it should be discussed, though. The warrant should be seen in an open forum and discussed, or not discussed, or just passed. Like you sent out a question, anybody want to, I need signatures for the warrant. I didn't know that the lawyer bill was on that and that was being paid. I mean, that is something that should have been discussed openly.
I agree about that. Usually invoices that we receive are for stuff that we ask for.
But
and there's no discussion. We got an invoice unless there's something wrong with the invoice. This invoice was not done that way. This was for services rendered.
I'm highlighting that one. Yeah, I thought we all discussed it and agreed in the beginning of this meeting that we're comfortable with having it, because sometimes there's a bill that you might have an advice or some kind of comment about. It's just the way it should be done. I don't.
From my perspective, until we put some kind of a policy in place,
right,
or whatever you feel is necessary, I, as always, will let every board member know that the warrant is here at the library and you can come in and you can look at it. If you have questions, you're welcome to call me or email me, and I will make sure that Adele doesn't take it over to the town hall until everybody's had a chance to look at it.
Yes, but she's asking for a discussion. I mean, that is good for information. Everybody has information, but it doesn't mean discussion, although you can call for a special meeting if there's something egregious in the bill.
I don't think there needs to be ever a special meeting called. I'm talking about, I mean, I asked Julie, the whole select board sees the warrant. So, and then
several days before the meeting.
Yeah.
But you're asking now for us to change the time that we have the meeting.
Well, you said that you couldn't do that because of the timing of the bills.
How hard would it be for you to scan and email them?
The bills?
No, just the warrant.
Just the warrant. I mean, I get if you don't, like, if that's above and beyond.
It's in electrons, isn't it? It's printed.
I print it off of an Excel spreadsheet. if you can show me how to send just one page and not a whole year's worth of Excel spreadsheet.
Yes, I can.
Sure, I can email it.
Okay, well, that's not the good big picture that you're aiming for, but at least it's information, everybody sees it, and nothing egregious like this would presumably happen again without a board discussion. Because we can hold off on signing, or we can remove that, we can remove something from the invoice if there's objections that need a minute.
Sure, I get it. Okay, that's a good start, and I'll keep trying to look for other, like, information for you to see that is more, you're more comfortable with, because I was surprised I wasn't able to find any kind of actual written word as to how to do it. How to do it for...
I was just told how to do it when I came on board, and I just do it that way. I mean,
that's why I don't know why.
I talk to people who have a longer institutional memory than I have, and it's how we've done it.
It's always been done.
That doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, I know.
That just isn't credible.
Yes, I know. Oh, it's.
I mean,
I believe it's factual.
I didn't say it wasn't. It's just not right.
Yeah, but I
doesn't make it
understand
the right way.
Right. You were trying to say something?
I think I said it. I think that was my, I don't want to like ask Catherine to do more than she already does, but that seems like it might satisfy Lauren, and without
I'm sure
too
Mr.
much.
Excel expert can tell me how to email.
You should have came to the Excel class. I think you're on vacation now.
Any special topics for next meeting that are burning in your head?
I think we've got a lot here.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
I second.
Any discussion? No, we don't discuss. We just all in favor.
Okay.